The darkness between stars held secrets that no one wanted to discover. Captain Maya Torres stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, watching the empty space ahead while her crew worked at their stations. The heavy cruiser moved through the outer, rim territories where few ships dared to travel. Maya had been commanding vessels for 15 years, but the silence out here still made her uneasy. Lieutenant Amy Park looked up from her intelligence station with concern written across her face. She was young but sharp, and Maya trusted her judgment completely. Amy had spotted something unusual in the communication arrays, and the readings made no sense at all. "Captain, we are receiving fragments of a transmission," Amy said while adjusting her equipment. "The signal is very weak and breaking up, but I think it might be from the Elven territories." Maya walked over to examine the data herself. The Elven worlds were known across the galaxy for their advanced technology that mixed science with what humans called magic. Their ships could do things that seemed impossible, and their cities floated among the clouds of gas giant moons. If the elves were sending distress signals, then something terrible was happening. Dr. Sophie Mitchell joined them at the intelligence station. She was the chief science officer, and her expertise in alien biology had saved the crew many times before. Sophie studied the broken transmission data, and her expression grew darker with each passing moment. "This does not look like normal communication interference," Sophie said while pointing at the wave patterns. "Something is actively jamming their signals and doing it very effectively. The elves have some of the most advanced communication systems in known space." Lieutenant Commander Lisa Kane approached from the tactical station where she had been monitoring long-range sensors. Lisa was brilliant at strategy and could see battle patterns that others missed completely. Her tactical assessments had gotten the Defiance out of many dangerous situations in the past. "Captain, I am detecting some unusual energy signatures in the direction of that transmission," Lisa reported. "The readings are unlike anything in our databases, and they appear to be moving in organized formations." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. In her years of service, she had faced pirates and hostile aliens, but something about this situation felt different. The fragments of the Elven transmission contained words that made no sense when translated, and the fear in the voices was unmistakable. Ensign. Kate Bell worked frantically at the communications station trying to clean up the broken signal. Kate had a gift for languages and could often understand alien communications that computer systems could not decode. Her linguistic skills had prevented several diplomatic incidents during first contact situations. "Captain, I am getting clearer. Fragments now," Kate announced. "The transmission mentions something called the Void Collective, and the word harvest keeps appearing in the message. Then everything just cuts to static." The bridge fell silent as everyone processed this information. Maya had never heard of any group called the Void Collective, but the name itself sounded ominous. The fact that an advanced civilization like the elves was sending desperate messages about them was deeply troubling. "Amy, what do we know about the elven homeworld of Ethermore?" Maya asked while studying the star charts on the main display. Amy pulled up the files quickly. "Ethermore is the capital world of the Elven territories, with a population of over 50 million. They have orbital defense platforms that could stop most invasion fleets, and their planetary shields are considered nearly impenetrable. The last communication from their government was 3 days ago during a routine diplomatic check." Sophie examined the sensor data more carefully and found disturbing patterns in the energy readings. "Captain, these signatures are not matching any known technology in our databases. The energy patterns suggest something that can phase in and out of normal space, which would explain how they could bypass Elven defenses." Lisa studied the tactical implications, and her analysis was not encouraging. If something could phase past their orbital defenses and overwhelm Ethermore, then we need to consider that no world in this sector is safe. The elves have military technology that most civilizations could never hope to match. Maya made her decision quickly. "Set course for the Ethermore system maximum speed. If the elves are in trouble, then we need to find out what is happening and fast. Amy, I want you to monitor all frequencies for any more transmissions. Kate, keep trying to decode what we have already received." The Defiance changed course and began moving toward Elven space at full speed. Maya knew that her single ship could not match the firepower of Elven defense fleets, but she could not ignore a potential threat to galactic security. The outer rim was full of dangers, but this felt like something much worse than pirates or raiders. As they traveled through hyperspace, Amy continued to analyze the broken transmission. She found references to ships that appeared without warning, and technology that could disable entire fleets in minutes. The more she learned, the more worried she became about what they might find when they reached Ethermoor. Hours passed while the crew worked to prepare for whatever they might encounter. Sophie ran diagnostics on all sensor arrays to make sure they could detect unusual energy signatures. Lisa reviewed tactical protocols and prepared contingency plans for different threat scenarios. Kate studied Elven language patterns to better understand any future communications they might receive. When the Defiance finally dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Ethermoor system, the sight that greeted them was beyond their worst fears. Massive debris fields floated where proud Elven orbital stations had once protected the homeworld. Energy signatures from recent weapons fire scarred the space around the planet, and the usual traffic of civilian ships was completely absent. Maya stared at the destruction in shock. The Elven orbital defenses had been considered some of the strongest in the galaxy, but they had been swept away like leaves in a storm. Whatever had attacked this system possessed power that exceeded anything in the known databases. Captain Ease, I'm detecting faint life signs on the planetary surface, Sophie reported while scanning with long-range sensors. The readings suggest that some elves survived whatever happened here, but the numbers are much lower than the normal population levels. Lisa examined the debris patterns and found evidence of a battle that had been completely one-sided. The Elven ships never had a chance to organize a proper defense. The attack patterns suggest that the enemy appeared simultaneously at multiple points around the system and overwhelmed everything within hours. Amy detected traces of the same energy signatures they had found in the original transmission. Captain, whatever attacked this system is definitely connected to the Void Collective mentioned in the Elven distress call. The energy patterns match exactly. Maya realized they were looking at the aftermath of the most devastating attack in recent galactic history. An entire Elven system had been conquered in a matter of hours by an enemy that no one had ever seen before. The implications for human space and all other civilizations were terrifying to consider. The USS Defiance moved carefully through the debris field surrounding Ethermoor, while sensors swept the planet below for signs of life. Captain Maya Torres ordered the ship to maintain stealth protocols, even though she doubted that hiding would matter much against enemies who could destroy Elven defenses so easily. Dr. Sophie Mitchell worked at her science station analyzing the life sign readings from the planetary surface. The scans showed scattered groups of survivors hiding in underground locations and forest areas away from the major cities. Sophie estimated that less than 10% of the original population remained alive, and most of them appeared to be in concealed shelters. Captain, I am detecting a transmission from the northern forest region, Ensign Kate Bell announced from the communications station. The signal is heavily encrypted using Elven military codes, and it appears to be directed at our ship specifically. Maya was surprised that anyone planetside knew about their presence. Can you decode the message, Kate? Kate worked quickly with the translation programs and Elven language databases. The message is from someone identifying herself as Commander Lyra Lai Moonwhisper of the Ethermoor Defense Forces. She wants to establish contact and is requesting immediate assistance. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Kane checked the tactical sensors for any signs of ambush or deception. Captain, I am not detecting any hostile activity around the transmission source, but we should be cautious. We do not know if the survivors are acting under their own free will. Maya considered the situation carefully. The elves were known for their honor and integrity, but something had conquered their entire system with ease. Amy, what do our files say about this Commander Moonwhisper? Lieutenant Amy Park accessed the intelligence databases quickly. Commander Moonwhisper is listed as one of the top military leaders in the Elven forces. She commanded the orbital defense network and has an excellent service record. If anyone could organize a resistance movement, it would be her. Sophie examined the biological scans from the forest area where the transmission originated. Captain, the life signs in that region appear normal for elves. I am not detecting any unusual energy patterns or signs of alien influence. Maya made her decision. Kate, send a response to Commander Moonwhisper. Tell her we are Captain Torres of the human vessel Defiance, and we are here to help. Ask for coordinates where we can safely beam down a small team. The response came quickly, with detailed coordinates for a clearing deep in the ancient forest. Commander Moonwhisper requested that the human team come armed, but warned them to be prepared for shocking revelations about what had happened to her world. Maya selected a small team for the away mission, including herself, Lisa, Sophie, and Kate. They transported down to the forest clearing where tall trees created a natural canopy that hid them from orbital observation. The forest seemed eerily quiet compared to the usual sounds of elven wildlife. Commander Lirelei Moonwhisper emerged from concealment along with another elf who introduced herself as Lieutenant Sarah Starweaver. Both elves wore battle-damaged uniforms and carried weapons that showed signs of recent use. Their faces displayed a mixture of grief and determination that spoke of terrible losses. Commander Moonwhisper was tall, even for an elf with silver hair, and eyes that seemed ancient despite her relatively young appearance. She moved with the confidence of a military leader, but Maya could see the weight of recent disasters in her posture. Lieutenant Starweaver appeared younger with auburn hair and quick movements that suggested expertise in technical matters. "Captain Torres, we are grateful that someone answered our distress signals," Commander Moonwhisper said while studying the human team carefully. "I must warn you that what happened here is unlike any invasion in recorded galactic history. The enemy you face is not interested in conquest in any traditional sense." Sophie stepped forward with her medical scanner. "Commander, we detected massive population losses on your world. What happened to the missing civilians?" The elven commander's expression darkened. "They were harvested, Dr. Mitchell. The Void Collective does not simply kill or enslave their victims. They extract something essential from living beings and leave behind empty shells that serve their masters without question or resistance." Lisa examined the technical readouts that Lieutenant Starweaver provided about the attack. "How did they penetrate your orbital defenses so quickly? Your military technology should have been able to hold them off long enough to call for help." Sarah Starweaver activated a small device that projected holographic images of the battle. "Their ships can phase partially out of normal space, which makes them nearly impossible to detect until they attack. Our weapons passed right through them during the initial assault, and by the time we adapted our targeting systems, it was too late." Kate studied the communication logs that the elves had recovered from damaged systems. "The jamming technology they used prevented any distress calls from leaving the system. You were completely cut off from outside help." Commander Moonwhisper led the human team to a hidden underground facility where other elven survivors had gathered. The base contained advanced equipment that had been salvaged from destroyed orbital platforms and military installations. Maya was impressed by how quickly the elves had organized their resistance movement. "We estimate that the Void Collective harvested over 40 million of our people in less than 6 hours," Commander Moonwhisper explained while showing them captured enemy technology. "The process appears to extract consciousness and free will while leaving the physical body intact. The victims become completely obedient to alien commands." Sophie examined the alien devices with fascination and horror. "This technology targets neural pathways that control independent thought and decision-making. It is unlike anything in our medical databases and represents a completely new form of warfare." Lieutenant Starweaver worked with Kate to analyze communication intercepts from the enemy forces. "The Void Collective appears to feed on or collect consciousness itself. They preserve infrastructure and physical bodies because they need workers, but eliminate any trace of resistance or independent thought." Lisa studied the tactical data about enemy ship capabilities. "Their phasing technology gives them an enormous advantage in combat. They can appear anywhere without warning and disappear just as quickly if they encounter serious resistance." "Commander," Moonwhisper showed them recordings of the harvesting process that made the entire team feel sick. "The victims remain aware during the extraction but lose all ability to resist or fight back. They become willing servants who help the collective harvest others." Maya realized that they were facing an enemy unlike anything in human experience. "Commander, how many of your people managed to avoid the harvesting?" "Less than 5 million survived the initial attack," Commander Moonwhisper replied. "We have been hiding in shielded locations and underground bunkers, but the collective left behind harvesting ships to process any survivors they find. We estimate that we lose several thousand more people every day." Sophie worked with the elven scientists to understand the harvesting technology. "The process seems to require physical proximity and direct neural contact. Distance and shielding can provide some protection, but the collective has portable devices that can penetrate most defenses. Sarah Starweaver revealed intelligence about collective fleet movements. Our long-range sensors detected a massive enemy force gathering in dark space beyond this system. The fleet includes dozens of warships and multiple harvesting vessels much larger than anything that attacked us. Amy accessed the intelligence data through her communicator. Captain, I am detecting the same energy signatures that we found here moving toward human space. The target appears to be the Kepler 442b colony system. Maya felt her blood run cold. Kepler 442b had over 2 million human colonists, including families and children. If the Void Collective could harvest an advanced elven world in hours then, a human colony would have no chance at all. Commander Moonwhisper understood the implications immediately. Captain, your people are facing the same fate that befell Aethermore. The Collective moves from system to system, harvesting entire populations and leaving nothing behind but empty shells. Lisa calculated the travel time to reach human space. Captain, if we leave immediately, we might be able to reach Kepler 442b before the enemy fleet arrives, but the Defiance is just one ship against dozens of alien vessels. Maya knew that abandoning 2 million humans was not an option regardless of the odds. Commander Moonwhisper, would you and your people be willing to help us fight this enemy? Your knowledge of their capabilities could make the difference between victory and defeat. The Elven commander exchanged glances with Lieutenant Starweaver before nodding firmly. Captain Torres, our world is lost, but we can still strike back against the beings who destroyed everything we loved. If there is a chance to save your people and stop the Collective, then we will fight beside you. The USS Defiance raced through hyperspace toward human territory, carrying nearly 200 Elven survivors who had escaped the harvesting of their homeworld. Captain Maya Torres stood in her ready room studying tactical displays with Commander Lyrelay Moonwhisper while the ship pushed its engines to maximum speed. Lieutenant Amy Park had confirmed the worst fears of everyone aboard. Long-range sensors showed a massive Void Collective fleet moving toward Kepler 442b, with harvesting vessels large enough to process entire planetary populations. The enemy force included more ships than had attacked Aethermore, and their estimated arrival time gave the Defiance less than 18 hours to reach the human colony. Dr. Sophie Mitchell worked frantically in the medical bay with Elven scientist Ariel Dawnbringer to understand the harvesting technology better. Ariel was young even by Elven standards, but possessed knowledge of neural science that impressed even Sophie. Together, they studied captured collective devices, trying to find weaknesses in the alien systems. The harvesting process requires a specific quantum resonance to target consciousness, Ariel explained while examining brain scans from affected elves. The aliens appear to expect certain neural patterns that exist in most known species, but humans might be different enough to disrupt their technology. Sophie ran comparative analyses between human and elven brain structures. Our neural pathways developed independently from yours, which could mean the collective harvesting systems are not calibrated for human consciousness. This might give us an advantage, but we need more data to be certain. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Kane worked with Lieutenant Sarah Starweaver in the Tactical Center, developing new battle strategies based on Elven intelligence about collective capabilities. The alien ships could phase in and out of normal space, but Sarah had discovered that the process created detectable quantum signatures. The phasing technology leaves traces in subspace that last for several seconds after materialization, Sarah explained while showing Lisa the sensor data. If we can track these signatures, we might be able to predict where they will appear next. Lisa studied the quantum patterns with growing excitement. This could allow us to fire on empty space and hit them as they phase into reality. No previous victims had this information because the attacks were too fast and overwhelming. Ensign Kate Bell coordinated communications between the human crew and Elven refugees, while also monitoring collective transmissions that Sarah had taught her to decrypt. The alien messages revealed disturbing information about their plans for human space. The collective refers to humans as an unknown variable that requires special harvesting protocols, Kate reported during a briefing session. They seem to consider us potentially dangerous and are bringing extra ships to deal with any resistance. Commander Moonwhisper studied human military records that Maya had shared with her. Your species has a reputation for refusing to surrender, even when facing impossible odds. The collective has never encountered determined resistance because most civilizations surrender quickly when they realize the futility of fighting. Maya felt a grim satisfaction at this assessment. Humans have a saying that we would rather die on our feet than live on our knees. If the collective expects easy surrender, they are going to be very disappointed. The ship continued racing toward Kepler 442b, while teams worked around the clock to prepare for battle. Engineering crews led by Elven technicians modified human weapons systems using principles from Elven magic technology. The combination of human engineering and Elven energy manipulation created weapons with capabilities that neither species possessed alone. Amy received updated intelligence about the collective fleet that made everyone realize the true scope of the threat they faced. Captain, the enemy force includes 12 Dreadnought-class vessels, 30 battle cruisers, and 6 massive harvesting ships. Each harvesting vessel is capable of processing millions of beings in a matter of hours. Ariel made a breakthrough discovery while studying the quantum signatures of collective technology. The phasing ability requires enormous amounts of energy and creates instabilities in their shield systems. If we can time our attacks precisely, we might be able to penetrate their defenses during phase transitions. Sophie worked with the medical staff to develop countermeasures against the harvesting process. We cannot prevent the neural extraction, but we might be able to create interference patterns that disrupt the process long enough for people to escape or resist. Lisa coordinated with Sarah to install Elven sensor modifications throughout the Defiance. The enhanced detection systems would allow them to track collective ships even while they remained partially phased. Combined with predictive targeting algorithms, this gave them their first real tactical advantage. The Elven survivors proved invaluable in preparing for the coming battle. Many of them were former military personnel who understood collective tactics and weaknesses. Others were scientists and engineers who could adapt human technology to counter alien capabilities. Commander Moonwhisper revealed the most closely guarded secret of Elven military science. Our world tree cores contain concentrated life energy that can power weapons beyond anything you have seen. We managed to evacuate several cores before Ethermore fell, and they could give your ship capabilities that match collective dreadnoughts. Maya was amazed by this revelation. Why did you not use these weapons to defend your home world? The attack came too suddenly, and we could not reach the storage facilities in time, Moonwhisper explained with obvious regret. But now we have the chance to use them against our enemies and prevent other worlds from suffering our fate. As the Defiance approached human space, the crew prepared for a battle that would determine the fate of 2 million colonists. Kate established communication with Kepler 442b and warned them about the approaching threat, but the colony had only minimal defenses. The planetary government is organizing evacuation efforts, but there is nowhere to run, Kate reported grimly. The collective fleet will be able to track and capture any ships that try to escape the system. Sophie and Ariel completed their analysis of human neural patterns and confirmed that humans possessed unique consciousness structures that might disrupt collective harvesting technology. We cannot be certain until we test it, but human neural patterns appear to have natural resistance to the extraction process. Lisa finished installing the Elven weapon modifications and ran simulations of the coming battle. Captain, we have a theoretical chance of success, but everything depends on perfect timing and coordination. One mistake could mean the loss of the entire colony. The Defiance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442b system just as long-range sensors detected the approach of the collective fleet. Maya looked at the peaceful blue world ahead, knowing that millions of innocent lives depended on what happened in the next few hours. All stations report ready for combat, Maya announced over the ship intercom. This is our line in the sand. Today we find out if the Void Collective can be stopped. Commander Moonwhisper joined Maya on the bridge while her people took positions throughout the ship. Captain Torres, your species is about to face the greatest test in human history. I believe you will show these aliens that consciousness and free will cannot be harvested from those who refuse to surrender. Amy detected the first signs of the enemy fleet beginning to drop out of hyperspace at the system edge. Captain Multiple. Contacts appearing on long-range sensors. The collective armada is beginning to phase into normal space. Lisa activated the modified targeting systems while Sarah prepared the Elven energy weapons for combat. All weapons armed and ready, Captain. Enhanced sensors are tracking quantum signatures from incoming ships. Maya took her position in the command chair, knowing that the next few hours would determine whether humanity joined the ranks of harvested species or proved that some civilizations could not be conquered. Take us toward the planet. It is time to show the collective what happens when they threaten human worlds. The Defiance accelerated toward Kepler 442b, while behind them the largest invasion fleet in galactic history materialized from the darkness between stars. The battle for human independence was about to begin. The USS Defiance took position between Kepler 442b and the approaching Void Collective Fleet, while Captain Maya Torres coordinated with the Colony Defense Forces. The planet had only 6 patrol ships and a handful of orbital defense platforms, but every available vessel moved to support the lone human cruiser facing impossible odds. Lieutenant Amy Park tracked the enemy fleet as they completed their arrival in normal space. Captain, 48 enemy vessels have materialized, including the massive harvesting ships. 3 dreadnoughts are moving directly toward our position. Commander Lyreley Moonwhisper worked with the human tactical team to prepare their new weapons systems. The Elven World tree cores had been integrated into the Defiance weapon arrays, creating energy projectors that could match the firepower of much larger ships. The combination of human engineering and elven life energy created capabilities that neither species had possessed alone. Dr. Sophie Mitchell monitored the experimental jamming field that she and Ariel Dawnbringer had developed to disrupt the harvesting process. The modified deflector array broadcast interference patterns designed to prevent neural extraction, but they had no way to test its effectiveness until the enemy tried to harvest human minds. The jamming field is operating at full power, Sophie reported from the science station. Theoretical calculations suggest it should disrupt collective harvesting technology, but we will not know for certain until they attempt the process. Lieutenant, Commander Lisa Kane coordinated with Lieutenant Sarah Starweaver to track the quantum signatures created by enemy phase technology. The enhanced sensors showed 3 collective dreadnoughts materializing directly ahead of the Defiance in what appeared to be a standard intimidation formation. Enemy ships are attempting to establish a communication channel, Ensign Kate Bell announced from her station. The transmission appears to be a surrender demand using standard collective protocols. Maya activated the ship-wide communication system. This is Captain Torres of the United Earth vessel Defiance. We do not recognize your authority in human space, and we will resist any attempt to harm the people of this world. The collective response came not in words, but in the form of energy weapons that struck the Defiance shields with devastating force. The alien dreadnoughts opened fire simultaneously, while smaller ships moved to flank the human vessel. The opening barrage would have destroyed most ships, but the Elven shield modifications held against the assault. Lisa activated the predictive targeting system and fired on empty space where her calculations indicated an enemy ship would materialize. The enhanced weapons struck a collective battlecruiser as it phased into reality, causing massive damage to its hull and propulsion systems. Direct hit on enemy vessel, Lisa announced with satisfaction. Their shields were down during the phase transition exactly as Sarah predicted. The successful attack surprised the collective fleet, which had never faced enemies who could predict their materialization points. Several alien ships immediately began evasive maneuvers, while others continued their advance toward the planet. Commander Moonwhisper activated the World Tree Core weapons and directed concentrated life energy at the nearest dreadnought. The beam struck the alien vessel with power that overwhelmed its shields and caused massive explosions throughout its hull. The collective had never faced weapons that drew energy from living planets. 1 enemy dreadnought severely damaged, Amy reported while tracking the battle damage. But 2 more are moving to attack positions, and the harvesting ships are breaking through toward the planet. Maya ordered evasive maneuvers while the tactical team continued firing on predicted phase coordinates. The combination of elven energy weapons and human predictive targeting created a deadly combination that the collective had no answer for. Ariel worked frantically to boost the anti-harvesting jamming field as enemy ships approached the planet. The harvesting vessels are beginning to deploy extraction beams toward the major cities. I am reading massive energy buildups in their neural disruption systems. Sophie monitored the biological effects of the alien technology on human minds. Captain, the harvesting beams are having reduced effectiveness on human subjects. Our neural patterns are disrupting their extraction process exactly as we hoped. The first test of human resistance to collective harvesting came as the alien beams struck the capital city of New Geneva. Instead of the complete neural submission that had destroyed other species, the humans showed only partial effects. Many colonists remained conscious and able to resist the harvesting process. "The jamming field is working," Sophie announced with relief. "Human neural patterns combined with our interference broadcasts are preventing successful extraction. The collective cannot harvest our people." This unexpected development threw the alien fleet into confusion. Their entire strategy depended on quick harvesting and pacification of the target population. When faced with people who could not be processed, their tactics became much less effective. Kate intercepted collective communications that revealed their growing frustration. The aliens are requesting additional harvesting ships and modified extraction protocols. They have never encountered a species that could resist the neural harvesting process. Lisa pressed the advantage by continuing to target ships during their phase transitions. The Defiance weapons struck enemy vessels with precision that should have been impossible, but the quantum signature tracking gave them perfect prediction of materialization points. The battle continued with the Defiance taking heavy damage, but inflicting even more destruction on the enemy fleet. The colonial patrol ships joined the fight using the targeting data provided by the human cruiser to attack vulnerable collective vessels. Commander Moonwhisper directed World Tree energy at the harvesting ships trying to reach the planet. The living energy seemed to have a devastating effect on the alien technology, designed to extract consciousness and free will from sentient beings. 2 harvesting vessels have been destroyed and a third is withdrawing, Amy reported. The enemy is having difficulty maintaining their assault without being able to process the planetary population. Sarah coordinated with the planetary defense forces to establish shield generators around major population centers. The combination of human engineering and elven energy manipulation created protective barriers that could resist collective harvesting beams. Maya realized that they were achieving something that no other species had managed in the history of collective expansion. "We are actually winning this battle. They cannot harvest our people and our weapons are more effective than they expected." The turning point came when the Defiance managed to destroy the enemy flagship with a concentrated barrage from all weapon systems. The collective command structure collapsed without central coordination, and their formation began to break apart. Sophie detected energy buildups in the remaining enemy ships that suggested they were preparing to withdraw. "Captain, the collective fleet appears to be charging their phase drives for departure. They are abandoning the attack." Lisa targeted the retreating ships and managed to destroy several more before they could escape into phased space. The remaining collective vessels fled the system carrying news of their first major defeat in decades of expansion. Maya surveyed the aftermath of the battle while damage control teams worked to repair the heavily damaged Defiance. They had saved 2 million human lives and proven that the Void Collective could be defeated by species willing to fight for their freedom. Commander Moonwhisper joined Maya on the bridge as they watched the last enemy ships disappear into dark space. "Captain Torres, your people have achieved something remarkable today. You have shown the galaxy that the collective can be stopped." Kate received transmissions from across human space as news of the victory spread. "Captain, multiple fleet commands are reporting for duty. The entire human military is mobilizing for war." Amy detected long-range communication signals that carried a chilling message from the retreating collective fleet. "Captain, the aliens are broadcasting a declaration that humanity has been marked for extinction. This victory was only the beginning of a much larger conflict." Maya looked at the peaceful blue world they had saved and knew that the price of freedom would be eternal vigilance. Let them come. Today we proved that human determination and alien cooperation can overcome any threat. The Void Collective will learn that some species cannot be harvested. The battle for Kepler 442b was over, but the war for galactic freedom had only just begun. The damaged USS Defiance limped through hyperspace toward Earth carrying news that would change the course of galactic history. Captain Maya Torres sat in her ready room writing reports about the battle while medical teams treated wounded crew, members and elven allies throughout the ship. Dr. Sophie Mitchell worked in the medical bay with Ariel Dawnbringer to analyze data from the first successful resistance to collective harvesting technology. Their research showed that human neural patterns created natural interference with alien extraction systems, and this discovery would become the foundation for new defensive technologies. The harvesting process requires specific quantum resonances to target consciousness, Sophie explained to the assembled senior staff. Human brains evolved independently from most galactic species, which means our thought patterns disrupt their neural extraction beams. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Kane reviewed tactical recordings of the battle with Lieutenant Sarah Starweaver to develop new fighting strategies against collective fleets. The combination of human predictive targeting and elven energy weapons had proven devastatingly effective against enemies who relied on surprise attacks. The phase signature tracking system allowed us to hit ships during their most vulnerable moments, Lisa noted while studying the engagement data. If we can distribute this technology to other human vessels, we can level the playing field against superior collective numbers. Commander Lyrelay Moonwhisper met with Maya to discuss the formation of a formal alliance between humanity and the surviving elven forces. The partnership had proven its value during the desperate battle to save Kepler 442b, and both species recognized the need for continued cooperation. My people have lost their homeworld, but we have found new purpose in fighting alongside humans, Commander Moonwhisper said while reviewing casualty reports. The collective destroyed everything we loved, but they also created the circumstances for their own eventual defeat. Lieutenant Amy Park monitored communications from across human space. As news of the victory spread throughout the colonies, military commanders requested immediate briefings about collective capabilities, while scientists demanded access to captured alien technology. Every major fleet base is reporting for active duty, Amy announced during a staff meeting. The Colonial Defense Force is mobilizing resources that have not been used since the Centauri Wars. Ensign Kate Bell coordinated with Elven survivors to establish communication protocols with other potential allies throughout the galaxy. Several species had sent secret messages expressing interest in joining a resistance movement against the Void Collective. The Andromedan Trade Federation wants to discuss mutual defense agreements, Kate reported. They have been monitoring collective expansion and fear they will be targeted next. Ariel made breakthrough discoveries about the world. Tree energy cores that had given the Defiant such devastating firepower during the battle. The living energy seemed to have properties that directly opposed the consciousness harvesting technology used by the aliens. The tree cores contain concentrated life force that interferes with neural extraction at a quantum level, Ariel explained to Sophie. If we can synthesize this energy, we might be able to create weapons that can free beings who have already been harvested. Maya received priority communications from Earth Command as the Defiance approached the Sol system. Admiral Rebecca Stone wanted immediate debriefings about collective capabilities and detailed analysis of the new alien threat to human civilization. Captain Torres, your actions at Kepler 442b have bought us time to prepare for the larger war. That is coming, Admiral Stone said during the encrypted transmission. The entire human fleet is being recalled to defend our core worlds. The arrival of the Defiance at Earth created massive media attention as news services reported the first victory against an alien force that had seemed unstoppable. Maya found herself thrust into the role of war hero while trying to focus on the serious military preparations needed for future battles. Sophie and Ariel worked with Earth scientists to mass-produce the anti-harvesting jamming technology that had saved the Kepler 442b colonists. The interference generators would be installed on every human world and starship to protect against future collective attacks. Lisa coordinated with military engineers to retrofit human warships with the quantum signature tracking systems that allowed prediction of enemy phase materialization. The tactical advantage this provided would be crucial in the larger battles to come. Commander Moonwhisper addressed the United Earth Council about the threat posed by the Void Collective and the need for unprecedented military mobilization. Her testimony about the destruction of Ethermore convinced even the most peaceful politicians that war was inevitable. The collective has harvested billions of sentient beings across dozens of worlds, Moonwhisper told the assembled representatives. They will not stop expanding until every thinking being in the galaxy serves their alien masters. Amy established intelligence networks to monitor collective fleet movements and identify potential targets for future attacks. The alien forces were regrouping in dark space, but their communications revealed planning for massive retaliation against human territories. Kate worked with diplomatic teams to contact other species that might join the growing alliance against the collective. The victory at Kepler 442b had shown that the aliens could be defeated, and this gave hope to civilizations that had considered resistance futile. Sarah collaborated with human engineers to design new starship classes that incorporated both human and elven technologies. The hybrid vessels would be faster, more powerful, and better protected than anything either species had built alone. Maya found herself appointed as overall commander of the joint human-elven fleet that would spearhead resistance efforts against the Collective. The responsibility was enormous, but she knew that the alliance forged in battle represented the best hope for galactic freedom. We have proven that determination and cooperation can overcome any threat, Maya told the assembled fleet commanders. The Void Collective feeds on fear and submission, but humanity has never learned how to surrender. The first joint patrol missions began as human and elven ships worked together to protect vulnerable worlds from collective scouting forces. The partnership that had been born in desperation was becoming a formidable military alliance. Months passed as both sides prepared for the larger war that everyone knew was coming. The Collective marshaled forces from across their empire while the human-elven alliance grew stronger with each passing day. When long-range sensors finally detected the approach of the largest collective armada ever assembled, Maya felt ready for the challenge. The fleet under her command included hundreds of ships equipped with the latest anti-harvesting technology and quantum tracking systems. Today we finish what we started at Kepler 442b, Maya announced to her crews. The galaxy will learn that consciousness and free will cannot be harvested from those who refuse to surrender. The USS Defiance led the Allied fleet toward the approaching enemy, knowing that the outcome of this battle would determine the future of all sentient life. Behind them flew ships carrying beings who had chosen to fight rather than submit to an existence as empty shells serving alien masters. Commander Moonwhisper stood beside Maya on the bridge as they prepared for the largest space battle in galactic history. Captain Torres, whatever happens today, your species has already changed the course of history. The Collective will never again face victims who cannot resist. As the two fleets approached each other across the darkness of space, Maya reflected on the journey that had brought them to this moment. A single human ship had stood firm when no world was safe, and that act of defiance had grown into a movement that would reshape the galaxy. The final battle for galactic freedom was about to begin, and humanity would not fight alone.